What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Asa Studio. Today with another retouching tutorial in Photoshop, and we're going to be retouching this image. So let's jump right into it. So quite a couple of things we're going to be doing is teeth and eyes whitening, frequency separation, color correction, and you know the basic things, dodging and burning. But let's start with the color correction first before doing frequency separation. And it's very important you color correct before you do frequency separation, all right, because your frequency separation is not actually going to be looking good. So there is only one method I do use in Photoshop, which is the hue and saturation. There's other method like color grading or gradient map and the rest, but it takes a longer time to master those. But this is just a simple fix. So now in this hue and saturation, two ways: either you make the lighter color, which in case this yellow look like the red, or you make the red look like the yellow. But one thing you need to take note is when you try to make the red look like the reddish part, which is this part of our cheek where I'm overing the marks over, look like this one, like a neck, it's going to affect the the lipstick and whatever she have on her eyes. So in order to avoid that, let's just make the yellow look like the red so it won't affect that. So just pick up the hand tool, select the neck and then increase the hue. Let me zoom out, increase it to the extreme, or maybe, and then move the slider to where just not the red is selected. And this is what I'm trying to say: if I actually make this the red look like the the color, is going to change the hue of the color of the red lips and the rest part. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to select the yellow part instead. So let's make the yellow part look like the red. So not everything, so somewhere like this. I'm going to zoom in, turn it off and turn it on. Let's take it forward a little bit and make sure those places are selected. So like this is okay by me, and I'm going to make this 0, or just take the slider back and then let's zoom in. Okay, so let's increase or decrease and make the color the same. So something like this. I'm going to make the hue not too red, just somewhere around there, 25, 30. Okay, let's see. All right, so 25 looks good. I'm going to turn it off and on. You can see that it's now like the same and doesn't affect the red lips and the rest. So after that, we can actually do some skin retouching like frequency separation. So let's create a stamp visible layer, Ctrl Shift and E, and I'm going to duplicate it twice, name this color. I'm actually doing frequency separation, and name this texture. So I'll be back. You all know how to do frequency separation, so I just want to quickly do it so that the video won't be long. Alright, so I'm done with the frequency separation, before and after, before and after. Alright, so just making it look natural, but I still want to adjust this part of our skin. I know the picture is actually red right now, but don't worry about that. So let's see about this hue and saturation again, and I'm going to go to select color range. I'm going to select this part and decrease the fuzziness somewhere around there, and then okay. So it's going to select that on the hue and saturation, and we can actually click on the hand tool this time and select. So it's just going to affect that place only. So let's see, increase the hue and saturation, and we can just select that part of our face, and let's bring it back, and I think I'm going to match it out. So taking it up a little makes it uniform, and we can increase the saturation as well, and now it's blended well. So let me zoom in and let's see before and then after. Blended well, before and after. So you can see it right at the bottom part. Okay, so now let's create a stamp visible layer, and this time around I'm going to do the same thing. Let's select color range, but let's go ahead selecting the hue and saturation. So now go to select color range again, and then I'm going to select a face, and can just try to select all parts of our body. And take note, you see that this place is not actually selected with it. I'm going to shift it to the other side and then select more, so decrease the fuzziness a bit so as to avoid some colors on the lips. And I'm going to click OK. And now whatever we're going to adjust is going to affect just those areas alone. So I can actually bring this up and avoid. Let's first of all take this to 0 and go to the red channel, because I believe that's where the saturation is. So let's change the hue of that area like this, and we can decrease the saturation of the red a bit. And let's find a sweet spot for it. I guess there look okay for me. So you can see before red, and then now it's actually, you know, yellow. Okay, so next thing is to work on our eyes. So for that, I'm going to use the solid color adjustment, and let's try this out. Turn it off, select the eyes, and we have that. I'm just going to increase it, the brightness, so it won't get too bright. Turn it back on, go to image and divide. Okay, so now that we have it like this, I'm going to invert the mask, and I'm going to paint. Choose the brush tool, paint with foreground color white, and not to make it brighter but just to make it whiter real quick. So with the teeth and like that. So now let's make it look realistic. So I'm going to use the cooling filter for that, photo filter, and then cooling filter 82, and we can add some black and white adjustment layer and decrease the opacity of that, make it calmer. I'm going to group the two together and create a mask for it. In fact, the mask, and I'm going to paint over somewhere that has the highlight, and here also the same, and the teeth. So now we have this. I'm going to close it. We can actually decrease the color hue a bit so as to look natural. Alright, so now we can take it to camera raw filter. There's nothing else. Create the stem visible layer, and now let's head to camera raw filter. Go to filter, camera raw filter. So here we are in the camera raw filter. We'll go to open up the basic tab, and let's work on the whites. I'm going to bring up the blacks, and let's work on the white too, and not much highlight, but let's give it a little bit highlight, and I'm going to leave it like that. We can bring back the shadows, okay, just like that, and let's increase the texture because that's okay. Close, go to the color mixer, and I can work on the hue, the orange. Let's take it towards the yellows, not too much, and somewhere like that, and take the yellows towards the yellow. I don't want it to look like the red, no, I want it to look more like the yellow. And the red, I'm going to leave it the way it is. If you want, you can go to the saturation and make the yellows, the yellow more saturated. And let's find a sweet spot for the orange. That looks fine to me. I'm going to leave it like that, decreasing the saturation of the orange. And let's go bring up the lightness a bit. Okay, so now we can close the color mixer. There's no other color, and go to the calibration, and we can increase the red a bit, bring it back just a sweet spot. Let's start with increasing the red and working with the blues, finding a sweet spot for that. Alright, so I just made a little settings, and you can see for the calibration. I'm gonna hit OK on the keyboard, and then we have this. Alright, so we can go ahead doing some color grading. So let's use color balance for that, and I'm going to go to the shadows first of all and increase the blues, yeah, just a bit, and then go bring back the magenta. Oh, we could add some green to it. Let's just find a sweet spot for both the color grading, the mid-tones, yeah, so something like that. But we can make it look like the warm. I just want to give it a warm look. Alright, so some red. Let's find a sweet spot for the green and go to the highlights, and let's add some blues. I can also add some magenta, and let's make it look reddish a little. So that's, I'm gonna decrease the opacity and add some vibrance. Vibrance keep affecting the wrong way. Let's decrease. Alright, so now let's create a stem visible layer, and then I'm going to group everything together and turn it off, and let's see our before, then our after. I'm going to zoom in and see before and then after. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Once again, this is ASAS. If you find something helpful, kindly like and share your comments on what you think about the video. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much guys. See you in our next video.